So two of my favorite lures for using as search baits when I'm in that pre-spawn phase, in other words, it's late winter, hasn't transitioned to spring yet, and the fish really haven't moved into what I call staging patterns, meaning they're not predictable. You can't find them on the first hump right before a spawning flat. You can't find them on the perfect channel drops right before a spawning flat. You can't find them in the stump fields when they're ready to spawn. And so what happens is after the bait balls break up, those fish scatter. And it could be one of the toughest times of the year to really get on fish. But, you know, it's also the best days to be out there because it's been winter. You've been, you know, holed up. You got these warm days and you're saying to yourself, man, the fish have just got to be on fire. And so one of the techniques that I like to use is I like to use a chatterbait, either the Jackhammer or the Project Z, two of my favorites. In this case, I'm using the Project Z because it's a little heavier. I've got a Yamamoto Seiko trailer on there. I'm using an olive green with a silver blade because I've got really clear water. But I like to pair that with a long rod and a really good reel, right? And I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. So I'm reeling across the top of this grass and I'm slowing it down. And when I feel the tick, I can actually raise my rod tip and then catch back up to it. So I'm not pumping the lure. In other words, the lure is not changing really speed or plane. I'm just able to slow it down until I feel it tick the top of that grass and then raise my rod tip up and then catch back up with it. And so let me tell you what the setup that I've got going on here. As the owner of All Pro Rods, I developed this frog rod because I wanted a frog rod that was a little more moderate action for folks that like to set the hook too early and jerk the lure out of their mouth. But what I found is this rod is a really good soft body swim bait, and it's a really good chatterbait rod. And the reason being is it's a 7/8, it's heavy, but it's a moderate fast. It allows it to preload and have some flex in it. But the reason that I like the longer length for this type of presentation is when I make these long casts, for one, I get to cover a lot of water. I can raise my rod tip up and I can keep it up out of the grass, but I can slow it down, and when I feel it tick that grass, I can just raise my rod tip and then catch back up. And then I just keep going. And what I'm doing here is I'm fishing a drop. So I'm running it right along the top of that grass, and I'm looking for those fish that are in that spot on the spot, that log or that patch of grass that's missing in the grass so that they can lay down in that hole. And I'm just establishing a pattern. I'm trying to search and cover water. And so with this long 7'8", heavy, moderate fast frog rod, I really probably should have called this thing the chatter frog rod because it's a great chatterbait or chatter swim frog or something along those lines. But it's got a short enough handle that's easy to manage. The rod's not super heavy, but I like to pair it with the Team Lose Custom Pro, and in this case I'm using a 7-to-1 gear ratio. Now I will use as high as an 8-3-to-1, but in this case I'm using that Lose Custom Pro. I've got 30-pound braid with a 15-pound fluorocarbon leader, and it just makes it come through the grass a lot better. There's some hydrilla growing up off the bottom, and braid really tends to catch into that stuff and cut it, whereas fluorocarbon comes through it nice and clean. I got clear water, so I like the transparency of the fluorocarbon. But that's my setup. That Lose Custom Pro, the APR frog rod, the chatterbait, and then a lot of times you can go to a soft body swim bait if you want to let it punch down into the grass and rip it out. It comes out a lot better, and it's a lot more weedless, and that thing works. But when it comes to calling the hogs, that one thing that sets it apart is that vibration, that flash, and that thump. Real versatile bait, but that's my setup. If you're looking to cover water, if you're looking to, find those aggressive fish out of, between the fish that are aggressive and not aggressive, I think that search bait, reeled really as slow as you can reel it to keep it up out of there. And again, I think that long rod, like I'll show you here, I think that long rod helps with long casts so you're covering more water, but it really helps me hold my rod tip up. And then when that fish hits it, I can drop my rod tip, reel down and set the hook, or I can just reel down and add pressure. And 9 times out of 10, the leverage of that longer rod helps me set the hook. So anyway, that's my tip on finding fish pre-spawn, or really more pre-spawn, is to cover a lot of water, pay attention to the cues that you're given when you actually catch one. But it's the law of averages. Cover more water, put the lure in front of more fish, you have a potential to catch more. And yeah, that's it. You can get the rod, the reel, the lure, the line. You can get that chatterbait, and pretty much any and everything you need to get outfitted for for kayak fishing. And, you know, it wouldn't be a kayak fishing store if it didn't have fishing stuff. So your one-stop shop for all of your gear needs is Fish USA. So go check those guys out. And if you talk to them on the phone, tell them Chad sent you. So anyway, smash that thumbs up button, leave a comment below. And if we can get this video to, I don't know, 2,000 likes, then I'll give away this whole combo. Now, I know that's a daunting challenge, but 2,000 likes, and we'll run a giveaway for this entire setup. Heck, I might even give you this one. Probably not. This one's got some mojo on it. You see that mojo right there, how the handle's like nice and... But we'll give one away similar, minus the mojo. So anyway, you guys get this thing to 2,000 likes, share it, post it, talk to your friends about it, and yeah, we'll give this combo away.